Okay Val, this video is supposed to be for your sister and about the other Valerie, your birth mum. She had not told anyone about you. You are ready to tell us all about what you found out.
Of course she didn't. She was really, really young. And of course she didn't tell anybody. You know, who am I to judge? I don't know the whole story. So I don't know who my birth father was. And so I had to make up these stories in my head because of the fact that she told no one. So in some regards, it's been kind of fun to make up my own kind of love story in the background. I've had great fun making up stories. So you'd think it would be easy to write a book and have me fill in the pieces, right? In some ways, I've made these great love stories up about her. But then I hear kind of stories about how she wasn't so great with the rest of my siblings. And so then that taints my story a little bit. So what I've had to do just to kind of, tie everything up in a nice, neat little bow is just get to the point where she had me, let it go, and she went on her way. As far as my birth father is, same thing. It was just, there they were. I kind of used the story of they met, it wasn't meant to be, they made the wrong choice, oops, and then they went on their way. As far as me, well, I think at first, I thought I was one person, then I was told I wasn't. I got a little angry about that. But boy, I've had a great adventure with it. Made up a great love story about what I thought it was. And then, oh, by the way, in doing this, I get this other synchronicity that comes in from someone 50 years ago. 50 years ago, because remember, I was in 20 plus different schools because the adopted mom, well, we lost my adopted birth father 5 months in. See, this is what I'm telling you. I'm going to tell you some great stories if you just hang with me. See, I'm telling you, if I'm pitching my life story to Hollywood, if you'll just stick around, it's going to be a lot of fun. Anyway, I hear from this guy, 20 plus schools I went to. I really didn't meet anybody. And I really developed this habit of not really getting to meet anybody for very long. I had a great skill of assimilating into a school, getting to know people, getting to be really good friends, and then off we'd go. Sometimes we'd get to a school and they'd say, "What grade are you in?" And I'd go, sometimes I'd just guess. They'd put me in that grade because I knew I wouldn't even be there, if lucky, half a year. I even have a report card where the teacher said, "I really can't judge her, she hasn't been here long enough." Boy, I have some great school stories to tell you. But anyway, so I met this guy at my very first job. This guy I had a crush on, but he was a couple of years older than me. Such a sweet guy, really cute. But anyway, he sent me an email and I was just so touched that somebody remembered me from when I was a teenager and could even find me because I was at all these schools. Anyway, it was just so lovely to hear from him, but even more important, he took me back in time. See, my whole life has been a musical. It's kind of the only way I can remember things is the date movies came out. It's where I was when that movie came out. Well, anyway, it was so good to hear from him, but that interrupted my flow of thinking about the Elvis and that time zone. I went from that decade to 1972 when I was at the Travelodge behind the Greenville Memorial Auditorium when Dolly Parton stayed with us. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this little intrusional vlog and chit-chat. This one's for my sister. But I wanted to tell you about my first crush and how he popped out of nowhere from 50 years ago. And that was from the 555 synchronicity number. And 55 being in this guy's email. It just came. Synchronicity, you guys. You've got to study it. It's happening right now on the planet amongst everything else that's happening, and it's upside down. Talk about Stranger Things. Anyway, it's so good to be back on YouTube, and I'll put some other great stories up, and I will work on that book. I just don't know where to begin. A little bit of it you've got now, and I didn't put everything in for my sister that I promised her I would. It's great, sister. I will settle in and get to the really good stuff, like where we start in Lawton. We move from Lawton, how the girls used to sit down at the drugstore and skip class. Our mother skipped class. She was something, you guys. No wonder she got pregnant so young. She was skipping class in Lawton, Oklahoma. Oh, you've got to buy the book. It's going to be a bestseller. I think it will be epic. I was adopted into the Sanderson family too, you guys. They were quite an epic family too. That in itself is another story. So I have these. Can you see why I have trouble doing a book? There's this big family over here that's like Dallas or Succession. And then you have my mom over here watching Elvis, kind of like Priscilla Ballou. Fallen in love with Elvis. She was very young, like Priscilla Ballou. And he was a mechanic, supposedly. I just don't know. It's just too... I'm so confused. Can you see? Can you see why? How do I juxtaposition this story? It's really hard to figure out. Somehow I will find the narrative and make it happen. Can you see why I haven't written it yet? It's just like I get over here, because when you get to the other side of the story, the Succession side of the story, which in and of itself is very juicy, because it's down in the beautiful San Luis Valley of Colorado. Oh, where the dirt smells good, full of potatoes. Yeah. Money. That's what it smells like. Money. Oh, I can tell you the stories of money there. But now who knows what was happening with money on the side of the little girl with Elvis. She ends up in California. But so did I, around the same time. Because the man from the side of Succession, he ends up passing away at UCLA in California. Isn't this weird? See, I'm telling you guys the preview of a story that hasn't even been told yet. Hang around. So should I tell it on YouTube, or should I write it? Maybe you guys should, maybe of my 41 followers, you guys should comment on how I should tell this story. Should I write it or should I tell it? You could gather around the fireplace and I could tell you each week how it ends up. Would you like to know about the $60,000 that was offered to pay for me? Oh, that was a good one. I could tell you that story too. All right, I've talked enough. I've titillated you enough. So talk to you again. Bye.